Right. I think we're live. If you can hear me in the chat, just push one. All right, we got a confirmation from Excalibur. Thank you, Excalibur. Welcome back to the Black Brain Trust. This is episode 380, Black Tech Talk. Please hit the like button as you come in, share the video if possible. Hit that notification bell so you get all the updates from the Black Brain Trust, including those posted on the community tab. If you want to get on the panel and engage in the discussion, there'll be a link in the chat. When you click on the link, make sure you raise your hand so that one of us can acknowledge you and advance you to the panel. If you do not raise your hand, you will be there for a very long time by yourself. Also, as a reminder, if you want to get into IT and you need some IT mentorship, we do offer IT mentorship here. And if you're going from one IT role to another and you want some coaching, we do offer IT coaching. If you have a resume that needs to be looked at, we can look at your resume. We can help you out with salary negotiations. And if you're in the tri-state area and you're looking for an IT contract, we do have Nagona 11 on staff. He can actually help you out in that area. He does have recs in the tri-state area. So that being said, I don't have a docket initially in front of me. The docket will be completed by the end of the night. So you'll be able to follow along at the end on the replay. And then yeah, let me find the articles and we'll go over it. All right, let me get to the articles real quick. I don't think we're going to be here long, but the show must go on. So, all right, first item on the docket is from the SeattleTimes.com. Amazon's cloud computing will help Seahawks tackle data for a competitive edge. This is interesting. The most difficult completion through the first 11 weeks of the NFL season was a Russell Wilson to Tyler Lockett touchdown in the final minute of the first half against the Rams. The Seahawks quarterback scrambled on the play action pass and then lofted the ball to a well-covered Lockett, who hauled it in and made a Pacific Northwest ballet-worthy toe tap at the back corner of the end zone. The probability of that catch was 6.3%, according to the NFL's Next Gen Stats program, which makes use of Amazon's cloud computing technology and sensor data to capture factors such as how close defenders were to the quarterback and receiver, and their positioning on the field. Now the Seahawks themselves are going all in on Amazon's cloud capabilities to gather and analyze a wide range of data, automate video analysis, and manage media assets. For starters, the 5-year contract shifts a large and important chunk of the hometown team's IT systems from Microsoft Azure to cloud computing rival and market leader Amazon Web Services. It is a marquee customer win in a high visibility sector that is increasingly reliant on data analysis, though not as significant as the $10 billion Department of Defense cloud computing contract that last month unexpectedly went to Microsoft rather than Amazon. And no, this is not an indication of Jeff Bezos' alleged interest in buying the Seahawks, as the Washington Post reported, citing an unnamed source familiar with the NFL's thinking earlier this month. The Seahawks, owned by the trust left Microsoft co-founder Allen and headed by his sister Jody Allen, who chairs the team, are not for sale, sources told the Post and the Seattle Times. Seattle Vice President of Technology Chip Suttles said the team is just now ramping up its uses of AWS, so it hasn't played a meaningful role in football strategy yet this season. But he envisions coaches and scouts using machine learning, computer vision, and related technologies to answer questions that aren't captured by traditional statistics, which are quickly being augmented by new ways of parsing sports information, such as the improbable completions ranking topped by the Wilson Lockett touchdown. The NFL's next gen stats program is only 4 years old in the data underlying it. Player location, speed, and acceleration gathered by sensors placed around the stadiums and in players' shoulder pads was made available to individual teams beginning last season, said Ariel Kelman, AWS Marketing Vice President. Teams add other data sets as well as mounds of video from games and practices to produce a comprehensive look as possible at their football and business operations, just like more and more businesses, nonprofits, and other organizations today. NFL teams are now just starting on a process of figuring out what they want to do with the data and how they apply technology to it, Kelman said. He said the trend began with baseball, as documented in the 2003 book Moneyball, and has since spread throughout the sports world. AWS has made marketing hay with the NFL partnership, highlighting stats such as catch probability in commercials featuring Wilson and other NFL stars. Suttles said teams are willing to collaborate on the business aspects of their IT strategy. But when it comes to what the player performance in sports science teams are doing within individual clubs, it's really kept to the vest. Everybody's looking for a competitive edge. Suttles, who is responsible for all IT functions for the Seahawks organization, including stadium technology, said there are no current plans to use Amazon's facial recognition technology at CenturyLink Field. Interesting. But the great thing about this relationship is that AWS is so broad and it has so much capability, he said, adding that the team is eager to start investigating opportunities. There's not much branding associated with the new Amazon Cloud deal beyond an AWS signing in the stadium, Shuttles said. In order, the agreement between the Seahawks and Microsoft put the Bing search engine logo on the team practice jerseys. And Microsoft continues to have a deal with the NFL for its Surface tablets, which are used on the sidelines to review plays during games. And for other hardware with Seahawks shuttles, Suttles said. Suttles declined to disclose the value of the AWS deal or the Seahawks IT budget, but said he expected it to be a cost savings. Yeah, this is very interesting. And they brought up computer vision. This is more of a data science type of deal or big data engineering. So let me go to Udacity for a second. Because this was brought up the other day. Um, yeah, I'm not seeing it here. I saw this the other day. Let me give me a few seconds. Let me find this. 'Cause I know I saw it the other day. All right, here it is right here. Let me share my screen real quick. All right, so this is Udacity's page, and they have a free course on Introduction to Computer Vision by Georgia Tech, offered at Georgia Tech as Computer Science 6476. And the cost of the course is free, approximately 4 months to complete it, and intermediate skill level. Um, this is what the Seahawks was just talking about with AWS. AWS does have a computer vision uh, product feature as a part of their services, but they held off. The Seahawks Shuttlesworth actually held off on it. Um, I'm bringing this up because it's really interesting that the NFL is actually looking at this, considering the fact that they have helmets on. So computer vision is actually pretty interesting feature to use in an NFL. Maybe in basketball that might be dope, or baseball, but in football they have a helmet on. So I'd be interested to see how they plan on using something like this. But I think you guys who are trying to, or you people trying to get into IT, should be looking at these sort of niche factor areas. All right, let me just read this caption real quick. This course provides an introduction to computer vision, including fundamentals of image formation, camera imaging, geometry, feature detection and matching, multi-view geometry, including stereo, motion estimation and tracking, and classification. We'll develop basic methods for applications that include finding known models in images, depth recovery from stereo camera collaboration, calibration, sorry, image stabilization, automated alignment, tracking, and action recognition. We focus less on the machine learning aspect of CV, or computer vision, as that is really a classification theory best learned in machine learning course. The course, of course, the focus, of course, is to develop the intuitions and mathematics of the methods in lecture, and then to learn about the difference between theory and practice in the problem sets. All algorithms work perfectly in the slides. But remember, in theory, there is no difference between theory and practice. In practice, there is. Interesting. So I'm going to drop this in the chat because I think if it's free, you guys should actually look into this if you're trying to get into this segment. The other aspect I wanted to get into was the data science portion. So let me go to EDX. All right, that's not how you spell it. Um, I think this might be it. I might be wrong about this. Let me further. All right, I think I found it. Hmm. Okay, let me share my screen real quick. All right, this one is from edx.org. Keep in mind that there's a Black Friday, Cyber Monday deal right here, 20% off on any purchase of EDX courses. And Microsoft does have a professional certificate in data science fundamentals. So for those of you who have zero understanding of what data science is, this is actually an entry into data science. So analyzing and visualizing data with Power BI, Power Business Intelligence, introduction to data science, analytics, storytelling for impact, and ethics and law in data and analytics. Um, I'll drop that in the chat for you all. And then let me get to the next one. Um, just give me a few seconds. Let me see if I can find it. Yeah, this isn't available on EDX. I thought I saw it on EDX, but it's not there now. Let me see if I can find it again. Okay, I found it. It's on a different site. All right, this one is from Coursera.com or .org. IBM Data Science Professional Certificate. Kickstart your career in data science and machine learning. Master data science. Learn Python and SQL. Analyze and visualize data. Build machine learning models. This is supposed to be the Butter stuff. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 courses to this certificate. 100% online, flexible schedule, beginner level. So this is for you novices. Approximately 3 months to complete it. 12 hours a week is suggested. This is exactly what I was looking for. So we drop that in the chat for you all. And if you want to engage in the discussion, there is a link in the chat for you to get on the panel and engage and contribute if you want. Otherwise, you're welcome to sit in the chat. All right, let me move on to the next article. All right, let me get to this right here. All right, this one is from Dev2. Is C# worth learning in 2019? 2019 is almost over, but this only came out last week. Well, is .NET still worth learning in 2019? The short and boring answer would be yes, but I assume you're not here for a quick and boring answer, are you? You're probably here because you're considering which language to learn in 2019, or maybe you're a greenhorn and would like to dip your toes into the vast waters of programming. Well, in this article, I'm going to try and convince you to give C# a try. Just a few weeks ago, we were figuratively blown away by some of Microsoft's announcements regarding Windows, .NET, and C#, chief among them being Fluid Web Framework that aims to make the web a more productive and interactive place. Windows Terminal, inspired by its Linux counterparts, aims to improve developer efficiency. A full Linux kernel within Windows with WSL 2.0. Kita and event-driven scaling extensions for Kubernetes. IoT plug and play, does it need more hype than that? Machine learning for .NET named Machine Learning .NET 1.0 and much more. In short, it's an exciting time to be a .NET developer, whether you already have a background in coding or you're just entering the field. A world of opportunity, career, and otherwise waits you. So let me go on. I'm not going to read this whole entire thing. This is extensively long, but let me get to the top points. Game development with .NET. C# has always been a favorite of game developers worldwide, and it strikes a good balance between performance, low-level, object-oriented programming, and ease. It should say ease. This is written wrong. Ease of coding with some syntactic sugar gently sprinkled in a drum and bomb, I guess. Now here's a fun statistic. Almost half of the games are made using Unity 3D. Interesting. Now I am fully aware of Unity 3D supports both JavaScript and C# as their programming languages. However, one can assume a vast majority of devs opts for the language that sacrifices less performance, which would, of course, be C#. With Unity 3D, you can create anything from mobile, PC, and even VR games. So if you're looking to make your future in game development, look no further than C#. .NET has been a highly sought after skill for well over a decade now. Just a quick search for .NET jobs on monster.com gives us a staggering result of 30,155 jobs found, while average salary statistics show that C# developers are still among the highest paid developers out there. So you shouldn't have too much trouble finding employment in the field, nor will you go hungry or wanting. Hate them or love them, they are undoubtedly one of the largest and most successful companies in the tech world. One thing Microsoft was always good at was making sure their development ecoscape is of top quality. You can be sure that tools such as Visual Studio and Visual Studio Code will work effortlessly with your technology stack. You can also rest assured that the language and framework will be regularly updated and kept simple and concise for many years to come. That GIF is hilarious. Since the release of .NET Core 1.0, Microsoft has been putting in a lot of work trying to open source as much of their stuff as possible. With that, finally came official support for Linux in OS X, which means you can now use official C# libraries on Linux and or a Mac without having to resort to using Mono. This means that you can have the best of both worlds, a fast and efficient Linux server with the lightning fast C# running your websites, web apps, and services. Speaking of which, and I mean fast, it still outperforms Java, Node.js, and most of the competition. The only languages that can boast about being more resource friendly and therefore fast would be C and C++. However, their speed and performance come at a price. In both of them, you have to take care of memory management and trash collection yourself. While C# has a built-in trash collector that does a pretty damn good job of cleaning up after itself. So this is something I've heard over the years as well, that C and C++ does eat a lot of memory, and so you have to be very precise with memory management, or else what you would have saw on a desktop is that an application would be running, but it'll be using a lot of memory. It would be, if you had 4 gigs of memory, it would use like 2.5 gigs of memory, and that's not enough. That's not good for performance. So with C#, you were able to narrow that down. It comes with built-in pun functionality. Don't believe me? Observe. Why do Java developers wear glasses? Because they can't see sharp. Ha ha ha. By using Xamarin, you can write fully native mobile applications for both Android and iPhone without having to support 2 different code bases. This enables you to develop your mobile apps faster and more efficiently. The only thing you need to figure out now is how you're going to spend all that extra time you'll have. I heard the outdoors are supposed to be good for you. So C# is good for building Android apps and iPhone apps. So keep that in mind. C# is multifunctional. With C#, you can write anything from games, mobile apps with Xamarin, desktop applications, websites, and web shops. There are only a few languages out there that are multifunctional, and none of them is as clean and nice to look at as C#. So this is the end of the article. But this is where we are in terms of languages that you need to learn. I know that Nagon 11 had a few recs that talked about C, C++, .NET, Java, C#, those sort of languages. But if you're going to pick one language going into 2020, from this article, I would choose C#. I'm not a programmer, but I have talked to programmers in IT, and they tell me all the time that they're studying C#. Let me see who joined the panel. Oh, we got our brother from the Big Apple, Nagon 11.
Oh, yeah. Okay, man. Yeah, that's for sure, man. C# definitely. If you're going to go with all the C languages, C, C++, or just straight C or whatever, C# is the way to go.
Mm-hmm.
And it's definitely very strong web applicable, cloud and all that. It's the language.
Mm-hmm.
If you're programming it in C, it's big right now. It's been big for a while, and it's only going to get bigger. I would say JavaScript, another big one.
Mm-hmm.
SQL, big. But what Mike was talking about as far as the C# game, yeah. And my understanding is it does use a lot of memory.
C++. C.
So that's my understanding about it. Seems like C++.
Yeah. C++ is very loose. It doesn't collect the garbage that develops from the coding. So that's what separates Sharp from plus. So
okay.
You can still write in C++ if you go out and manage all your garbage collection, but when it comes to C#, it does all that for you. Plus, it's multi-platform supported, right? Desktop,
yes,
iPhone, Android. complex design, just received his first African smartphone. So now you have the ability to learn C# and be able to write applications for African phones.
Yeah, we talking earlier. This is all really about with over a million jobs available right now, open recs and in IT and all. It's really all about us, getting in on a heavy coding side of the game.
Mhm.
Prince was up on this years ago.
Mhm.
Prince, yes, that guy Prince. He was all about. He had the code project and the whole thing with his.
Mhm. I think we lost the goal. Yeah, I think we lost the goal. All right, let me go to EDX and see what I can pull up. What I'm looking for. All right, this one is from edx.org. Microsoft has a actual computer science suite on their EDX page, and they have Introduction to C#. Learn the basics of the C# programming language, one of the most popular programming languages used to develop software for the Microsoft platform, but also used to develop software for Linux, Android, and iOS system as well. The length of the course is 3 weeks, 3 to 5 hours per week for effort. It's free if you just want to learn it. If you want the certificate to be on your LinkedIn account, then you have to pay $99 for that. So the amount of time that you spend on Hangouts on other people's channels, this is the amount of time that's going to take. So, and it only takes 3 weeks. So you start learning now. Starts on November 30th, which is today. By 2020, you'll be going into 2020 real strong. All right, let me share that link in the chat. People said I needed a little bit more volume, but my volume is all the way up, so I'm not sure what the dispute is here. Yeah, my volume's all the way up, so I'm not sure what people are disputing. All right. Yeah, Richard Victor Dixon in the chat says he did it in less than a week. See, what Richard Victor Dixon does, man, he finds stuff behind the scenes and then he does it on his own, and then he says, "Oh, I already done did that, right? I already did it." Richard Victor be pump faking, man, be pump faking. So I'm gonna hold Richard Victor Dixon accountable, man. All right, let me get to this next one, man, because this is more important. All right, let me get to this next one here. think Nicole is away. All right, this one is from cbtnuggets.com. CBT Nuggets is running a Black Friday deal, so make sure you log into the website after this article. Why PowerShell is a great first language. Scripting and automation are increasingly sought after skills for IT professionals, and PowerShell is a great choice to get started and set you apart. With the emergence of DevOps in recent years, adding these skills can help you propel your career. If you work in a Windows environment, which most IT professionals do in some capacity, you can start using PowerShell immediately. Whether you are responsible for servers or desktops, you can start using PowerShell to make your job easier. You don't need to think like a programmer. PowerShell is one of the best entry points into programming because it's widely used and easy to learn. Let's explore a smattering of solid reasons why PowerShell is a great first language for learners. Apply your PowerShell skills immediately. Many Microsoft products have a graphical user interface, a GUI, which is no more than a wrapper on top of the PowerShell. With many languages, there's a pretty steep learning curve between hello world and making your code work. Most code is pretty abstracted, but PowerShell makes use of commandlets, pronounced commandlets, that are predefined .NET command sets. There's a commandlet for just about everything the GUI can do, and that's great to get you off into the shell. Starting with simple one-line commands on the shell, you can get started scripting immediately. PowerShell follows a syntax of verb and noun that is extremely approachable. For example, if you wanted to get the properties of an Exchange mailbox, you can open the Exchange shell and run the commandlet, get mailbox. So the verb and then the noun. Verb being get, noun being mailbox, for those who don't understand this. You can then filter the output. Select only the fields you want to pass the results of the command to another command. If you wanted to make changes to the mailbox, you would use set mailbox. These simple one-liners both teach you PowerShell basics and also what is possible, which is everything. Most importantly, you get a good jolt of immediate satisfaction. And that's great when you're getting ready to ditch the GUI. So I'm not going to go over all of this, but I use PowerShell not often, but probably 5% of my work is done in PowerShell. So what I will tell you here is that the article is spot on. You should learn PowerShell if nothing else. It is straightforward and basic. But in addition to PowerShell, I will also say Bash is something that you should learn too. PowerShell is really, really, really basic, but Bash is like the next step up, right? If you follow the syntax for PowerShell, going into Bash, you'll feel comfortable, but Bash is a step up. So a lot more powerful in Bash for Linux. So let me drop that in the chat. I'm surprised we got a thumb down, man. I kind of know who that is. So sucker lays around us. All right, let me go to the next item on the docket. All right, this one is from Financial Careers. The coding languages that will get you a job at Google and the coding languages that won't. Let me expand this out so I can read it. If you want to work for Google, or at least for its parent company, Alphabet. It will help you if you can code in one of 4 key programming languages. They are all pretty mainstream. In the chart below, we've plotted the percentage of currently advertised jobs at Alphabet against the percentage of staff currently claiming to work there who mention each language on their public profiles. It turns out most Googlers are all about Python, JavaScript, C++, and Java. This should not come as a surprise. GitHub's recent State of the Octoverse report had JavaScript, Python, and Java as the top 3 programming languages, with C++ ranking 6. As with most employers, Alphabet's demand for programming languages isn't restricted to each language individually. It typically asks for a cluster of several when it advertises a role. The chart measures the percentage of roles profiles specifying a programming language that include each one. The programming language that Alphabet doesn't use much, surprisingly perhaps, is Kotlin, which Google made its preferred language for Android app development in May. There are a handful of Kotlin jobs on offer, but not many, and less than 0.5% of the total. Nor is Go as popular as might be expected, given Google's suggestion even 7 years ago that it might be a good replacement for the C languages. Alphabet hired C++ developers as Google Cloud engineers, network and system specialists, security experts, and database engineers. Investment banks, hedge funds, and high-frequency trading funds are also big users of C++ expertise in high-speed trading systems. Based on our current snapshot, the things that seem to be growing in use at Google are .NET and C#. We just talked about C#. The platform features in a far higher proportion of the both in current job ads than on profiles of existing staff. This is a curiosity given Google's historic rivalry with Microsoft. However, .NET can be used with Kubernetes, Google's open source system for automating the deployments, scaling, and management of containerized applications, and is used for fast-growing Google Cloud business. So this shouldn't be massively startling either. So we're looking at this chart here that says top coding languages at Alphabet. Python versus the jobs currently advertised is 15%. The existing employees have 17% of Python on their public profiles. And then JavaScript is 15%, and then existing employees have 12% of it listed. So if we're looking at the top 10, then what we're seeing here is Python, JavaScript, C++, Java, .NET, C#, PHP, Go, and Perl in HTML. Despite the fact that they have supported many other program languages like Kotlin and Ruby, they don't seem to make the top of the list. They're actually less than 1%. So we talked about C# just a few minutes ago, and C# is actually on the come up. So going into 2020, I would learn C#. And if you can learn Python too. But C# is the, going into 2020, C# and Python will be the ultimate 2-tier languages. So. Yeah, Marcus, Python is still number 1. But that's only because Python is so popular with other applications like blockchain and things like that. Yeah, Richard Victor Dixon says, right now I'm just going to focus on looking for a SQL job while I build site. The thing is, you shouldn't look for a SQL job. You should be looking for database jobs. a SQL job would, would impose that you are looking for to just work with SQL and that's it. Well, I can tell you from the from a DB standpoint, DBs do spend a lot of time in meetings. So a lot of the times it's business intelligence, business administration, and business analysis that goes on. So I spent a lot of time troubleshooting Oracle um, version 10 and 11. So not the most stable thing to be using, but that's the gist of it. All right, let me get to this next article. All right, this one is from dice.com. System administrator salary still solid despite automation in cloud. For the past several years, system administrators have feared that automation in conjunction with the cloud will shrink the scope of their jobs, if not eliminate their positions entirely. Based on the average system administrator salary in several key cities, as surfaced in the DICE database, though it seems that companies are more than willing to pay well for tech pros who specialize in sysadmin style tasks. Here's the breakdown of maximum salaries. So in Arlington, Virginia, $106,000 for a sysadmin. And then in Charlotte, it's about 76,000. Dallas, it's about 81,000. Houston, it's about 88,000. Irvine, California, it's about 82. In New York, it's about $113,000. San Diego, it's about 94,000, and Washington, D.C. is about 95K. The typical system administrator job, if we can use the term like typical for a job that involves at such a pace, has shifted quite a bit over the past decade. In the days before cloud became the buzzword on every C-suite executive's lips, companies that wanted to scale their online operations needed to buy and manage lots of service. Meanwhile, rank and file employees needed business software installed on their office PCs, and they were liable to freak out if everything didn't run smoothly. Several different things altered that paradigm, in addition to the cloud, which transformed a lot of heavy-duty infrastructure into the vendor's problem. BYOD changed how employees use software. The system administrator's job mutated accordingly. Some responsibilities disappeared entirely while new challenges emerged. Unlike some other kinds of tech pros, system administrators must also utilize their soft skills in order to explain strategies and technologies to executives and workers who don't really have a handle on certain concepts. Indeed, as the cloud has relieved the burden of dealing with a lot of infrastructure issues, the importance of mastering and using soft skills has only increased. System administrators are also very good at analyzing and breaking down problems. And no matter what any executive says about the wonders of automation, things will always break down or not work as promised. Any system administrator salary listed above isn't the upper limit of what these tech pros can earn either. Added skills such as SAN, storage area network administration, VMware, and Microsoft CVMM, System Center Virtual Machine Manager, can increase the average system administrator salary by several percentage points, especially if knowledge and associated certifications are kept up to date. When considering a job as a system administrator, salary should be a concern, but not the only one. Make sure to ask about perks, benefits, work-life balance, and other things that matter to you. DICE has potential questions for system administrators that might pop up during the interview. So I talked about this a few seconds ago about Richard Victor Dixon's approach to SQL job hunting, and that there is soft skills that are involved in system administrators work, database administrators work, just IT work in general. 1/3, if not 2/3 of my day is spent in soft skills, and only 1/3 is really meant in hard skills. Yeah. So that's the skinny on that. Sysadmin roles are gonna command a $80 to $100,000 range in salary, regardless of where you are in the country, especially if you're in New York. All right, let me get to this last, well, not my last article. Let me see. All right, let me get to this right here. All right, this one is from skillscrush.com. 21 jobs in tech that don't require a computer science degree. Expand this out. What's that you say? You don't have a computer science degree? Professors and parents might shudder, but there's no need to fear for your career if you didn't choose computer science as your college major. In fact, the digital world is so vast and varied that your studies and your work experience from completely different fields can actually be what sets you apart in the hunt for a tech role. But before you pack your bags and head for fame and fortune in Silicon Valley, please know that this doesn't necessarily mean you should forget higher education completely or feel like the degree you already have isn't worth the paper it's printed on. As an education company here at SkillQuest, we're the biggest fans of learning. And if you find a dream job from your list but still aren't sure you have what it takes, try these tips to get the confidence you need to land the job. So let's go to the jobs. Tech jobs you don't need a computer science degree to do: support, marketing, operations, product, content, social media, design, development. Interesting, ain't those social media in there. A lot of content creators who don't have the education in anything, much less a GED. All right, support. Regardless of your college major, if you are friendly, patient, and have a knack of explaining complex problems in a straightforward way, a support position could be a great place for you to start your tech career and usually don't require a computer science degree. Technical customer support specialist, remote for HubSpot, and customer experience agent in Slack. Marketing. If there's one thing that's important when it comes to online business, it's marketing. Even if a company creates the most state of the art product, it doesn't do them any good without a stellar promotions and sales team. If you're interested in out getting the word out online, digital marketing may be a place for you. So, associate digital campaigner, ACLU, marketing associate, and marketing specialist. Operations, even if you're more into admin and analysis than development and design, digital skills might still be your way into a new career. I can say from my own experience in operations here at Skills Press that this area is filled with opportunities to use your tech knowledge, plus opportunity to do rewarding behind the scenes work to support your team. Technical recruiter, IT business analyst, Apple and Harvard Business School. So even if this one next one is product. Even if just a few years ago, product development meant mainly working with your hands in your engineering degree to build and test physical products. But nowadays, many products are virtual. Think apps, software, and websites. So tech skills are needed to create and evaluate them. Product managers and testers fill those roles. Software applications tester, better world books, and product manager hopper. Development. You'd be forgiven for assuming that jobs with developer or engineer in the title are reserved strictly for computer science grads, but fortunately not. Fortunately, many of them are open to you, even if you just built a foundation in tech skills. Bonus: most are well paying and exciting too. JavaScript developer are remote. front end engineer, nerdery, and junior Python developer, Penguin Random House. So, oh, let me go to social media. You might not have realized it, but if you're a whiz with social media, chances are you've picked up some tech know-how as you've been building your online presence. And those digital talents, combined with your people skills and knack for trending topics, will put you in high demand roles in the growing field of social media. So, social media strategist, remote defined American, and social media coordinator at the John F. Kennedy Center for Performing Arts. Interesting. Interesting. So there you have it. You don't need to go to college. Yeah, IB forever is right. Associate degree is um, usually fine for most IT jobs, at least in the operations sector. All right, let me get to this next article. Uh, all right, this next one on the docket is from CNBC.com. The top 20 tech skills of 2019 and the easiest one to learn in 2020. The tech industry offers some of the highest paying opportunities in the country. According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, the median annual wage for a worker in high tech industries, sectors with high concentrations of workers in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics occupations, is about $70,000, $70,230. The median annual wage for workers outside of tech is closer to $34,800. One reason tech wages remain as so high is the result of a skills gap in which the lower supply of workers with tech skills does not meet the high demand for employees. So, what tech skills are employers looking for the most? To find out, a team from a job search engine Indeed analyzed millions of tech jobs postings between September 2014 and September 2019 to determine which skills were mentioned most frequently as a requirement to land the role. Docker is number 20, a tool to create and deploy running applications. SQL, Richard Victor Dixon was just talking about this. SQL Server, a database management system, um, that is number 19 on the top of the list. Number 18 is Unix. Number 17 is Azure. Number 16 is machine learning. Number 15 is CSS. Description, a programming language what web developers use to create uniform styles across web pages. Number 14 is Git. Number 13 is Scrum. Description, a framework for managing projects often used during software development. Number 12 is HTML. Number 10 is Oracle, a software used to manage databases. So this is something that Richard Victor Dixon has talked about in the chat about SQL and Oracle, business BI or business intelligence. Number 10 is .NET. Number 9 is C Sharp. We talked about C Sharp earlier, a programming language used for developing apps and is managed using the .NET framework. Number 8 is C. Number 7 is C++. Number 6 is Amazon Web Services. Number 5 is JavaScript, a programming language primarily used for interactive web design. Number 4 is Linux. Number 3 is Python. Number 2 is Java. Number 1 is SQL. I don't see why they put SQL at the top and then SQL at number 19. Kind of weird. Or SQL Server, okay. So they see SQL and SQL Server as two different things. Let me read this caption. The most in-demand tech skills of 2019 was SQL, which stands for Structured Query Language. The programming language, which allows users to manage databases, is commonly required for data science roles. We talked about data science earlier. Andrew Flowers, an economist at the Indeed Hiring Lab who focuses on the U.S. labor market, said skills like SQL and Java are going to continue to be in high demand for the foreseeable future. But there is another skill he suggests all young people learn: Python. Talked about Python earlier. If people are with their young nephews and nieces at Thanksgiving next week, and there's a conversation about what skills should learn, the word that rolls off my tongue instantly is Python. He tells CNBC Make It, not just because it's the number three skill and growing really fast, but because it's so easy to learn. Flowers says that Python is the ideal skill to learn in the new year because it is in demand, it is in high demand, and also because it is designed to be easy to read and learn. That is the driving force ultimately behind Python's success. He explains it's very readable. It's not a sharp learning curve. Python can also be used in a wide range of purposes, from back-end web development to data analysis and artificial intelligence. If you are interested in studying Python, online education providers like EDX, Coursera, and Khan Academy offer courses to help you learn for free. So we talked about all this initially, and this article just reconfirms exactly what we've been saying. Mhm. I'm just trying to go through the comments before I go forward. All right, let me jump to the all right, let me jump to the last item on the docket, and then we'll open it up. All right, this one is from dice.com. Companies hiring engineers and developers, no experience required. This should be interesting. Landing your first developer or engineer role straight out of college or a boot camp is sometimes difficult. Luckily, AngelList compiled a list of companies hiring professionals without any prior work experience in tech, so you know exactly which companies to target. AngelList does know one important caveat: you can't just apply and get a job without the necessary skills. While all of these companies and hire applicants with no work experience, this does not necessarily mean they have no barriers to entry. It says some of these roles, machine learning roles, for example, may have knowledge requirements, while others may require a certain credentials like a CS degree. We should add another important footnote. You won't see major tech companies on the list. Landing a job at Apple, Google, Microsoft, or another tech giant is definitely possible without experience, but they typically find graduates via their own recruiting programs. Angel's list is comprised of startups and smaller tech companies. While it doesn't say as much, we'd imagine this list isn't populated by companies Angel List has a vested interest in. The list is 63 companies strong, which is impressive. Here are the first 10: Airtable, Standard Cognition, Hatchways, Quant 5, Lucid, Enzyme, Opener, Theodo, Passfolio, Gravity Technologies. Companies on Angel's List roster are all hiring for unique positions, ranging from QA technician to the ubiquitous software engineer. There are also tons of dedicated roles such as Python developer, Java developer, iOS developer, and back-end Node.js software engineer. We should also caution many companies and jobs on the list are in or near Silicon Valley and San Francisco, which is an economic time bomb at this point. Housing costs are out of hand. People are going into debt living there. Wages have been in decline for decades, and you can just plain do better by avoiding it, financially speaking. But if it's a matter of getting your first gig in tech, a short stay in Silicon Valley might be worthwhile the trouble. Any job that matches your skills and interests is worth applying to. Just keep in mind you stand a better chance by targeting your application to jobs truly best suited for your abilities. For new graduates, job titles with junior in them are a safe bet, as are those with startups and other companies seeking entry level developers and engineers. So, um, what we're seeing here is they're willing to take people with um, no real world experience, pretty green. And then there's others that say that, yeah, you still may need to have a literacy for the technology itself. Don't necessarily have to have a past background in it. So that's why when we do these tech talks, I always talk about guys jumping to certifications, because certifications are going to be an excellent benchmark to denote what your knowledge level is on particular technology or skill set. It's the quickest way to get to get to the HR table and actually have a conversation. If you didn't have the certification, then they may just get by you, or even their HR system may not even discover you. I'm surprised we got two thumbs down. Very interesting. Um, so they talked about we talked about C sharp tonight. We talked about Python, and last night, if you were part of the Black Friday discussion that we had yesterday, we posted links to many of these IT training and certification sites that had um, content available for 50 to 60% off. One of the ones was 65% off. So you can't really beat that. At this point, I would definitely look at, if you missed that live stream from yesterday, I would definitely go back and watch it, because a lot of your coupon codes and links were in the chat. I did not post them inside the description beneath the video, because I wanted people to actually watch the live streams in order to get it. It's not fair that the people who did attend have to share their Easter eggs with other people who don't want to watch their live stream because they just want to go straight to the point and take information for themselves and then run away. That's not fair. To an extent, you need a certification, Ijisa. To a certain extent, you need a certification. If you're going to be knee deep into IT, certification makes sense. If you're not going to be, if IT isn't your primary role, then having a certification isn't necessary. Um, I don't know what Cocaine Kels is laughing about in the chat. I have to actually go to the top. Let me see if anybody's trying to get onto the live stream. No, no. So let me see. Yeah, PowerShell. If you could find a if you can find a video or a book on PowerShell, definitely learn PowerShell. Yeah, definitely learn PowerShell. Let me update the docket while we sit here. All right, let me update this docket real quick. Let me finish putting this in. All right, just give me a few seconds. Let me just finish updating this docket. Just want to put the relevant information in here. All right. All right. I think that's it. So let me go back to the basics. I know there were some people who did not have a skill set that they were, that we had covered. Just give me a few seconds. All right, let me read the questions. Ejisa says, are there opportunities to work non-conventional hours such as evenings, overnights, or weekends in IT positions such as DBA or cloud computing as opposed to more traditional 8 to 5? You can, right? And those are usually support hours. Anything after 5 o'clock is support hours. So usually you have what they call second shift. And second shift is usually 4:30 to 12:30 p.m. or 12:30 a.m. in the morning. And then his third shift, which is 12:30 to 7 o'clock in the morning. or yeah, 12:30 to 7:30 or 8 o'clock in the morning, depending on how they structure your lunch. I worked second shift years ago, and I can tell you right now, I would never do it again. And the only reason I wouldn't do it is because the money's not worth it, and it sucks. That's something you do at the entry level. You don't do it as a traditional. Um, you usually do it for about 18 months if you can stomach it for 18 months. I did it for 6 months, and I said, screw this. So there are jobs out there that's like that. That's like in a data center or some kind of remote support job. But that's the typical role of an IT person in second and third shift. DBAs, cloud computing, Keep in mind what cloud is. Cloud is a technology environment, right? It's a buzzword for a technology environment. Basically, somebody else's data center. DBA is a role, right? So when you specify these things, I'm just correcting the terminology for everybody else. A DBA is a role, and cloud computing is a technology stack in an environment. So these are two different types of terms you're using. I know you're trying to interchange them, but they're not interchangeable like that. A DBA will work in the cloud, but a cloud doesn't work on a DBA, if that makes any sense. But you can find those type of roles if you're willing to accept them. Um, I don't, have any interest in ever going back to that, but it is what it is. Um, Ijisa says, what's so bad about those shifts? Typically, what happens here is first shift, which is 8 to 5, will dump all of the work that they did not want to do onto second and third shift. That sucks. They do have something called a swing shift. A swing shift would be something like 11 to 7, right? So 11 in the morning to 7 o'clock at night. That's a swing shift. But third shift is 4:30 to 12:30, 4:30 p.m. to 12:30 a.m. You don't want to be doing everybody else's work just because they didn't want to do it. No such thing as an AWS architect working second and third shift. AWS architects are renegades. They basically design the environment to the specifications of what a enterprise is asking for. They don't work second and third shift. They kind of work within the framework of a business day. Um, Mike Coleman says, what about working remotely? I have a friend who doesn't have many options but wants to get into IT. Remote work is actually very favorable, but you have to be trusted. They don't really give out remote work to people who are not trusted in terms of IT. You might work a support role because that's typical. But in terms of, let me see if anybody's trying to get in the chat. No. In terms of like an architect's role or cybersecurity, they don't really trust people like that remotely unless you've been vetted. Working remote is a privilege for most organizations, and they don't really take kindly to everybody just working remote because they pay for office space. So let me show you an example. Go to Rackspace. All right, let me share my screen real quick. Yeah, I personally don't even work remote myself anymore. I have to put in a request to work remotely, even though I can do my job remotely. This is from Rackspace right now. This is in Texas, Rackspace. Um, so you have a remote software developer. You have site reliability engineer, remote. Oracle functional support analyst. That's the sort of support role that they talk about, but this is in India, right? So, what else is on here? Okay, yeah. Senior solutions architect, remote, right? OpenStack, that's a cloud. Software developer, remote. Senior solutions, yeah, I just went over that. Yeah, senior solution architect in the southern region, remote. Client executive, remote. Senior solution architect, remote. Senior Salesforce project manager, remote. Professional services project manager, remote. So a lot of their roles are that they have for remote are roles that are pretty autonomous, where you can kind of just be left to your own devices and be trusted to execute without very little input from management. Salesforce technical architect, remote. So a lot of these roles are very high ranking roles. These are not typically support roles. These are roles that are involved in high end development. You can see just by the titles of them: architect, technical architect, chief executive, remote, or sorry, client executive, remote. Um, Consultant, remote. Project manager, remote. So all these roles is what I'm referring to. Is that I'll drop the link in the chat for those of you all who might be interested in Rackspace. All of these roles are significantly high skilled roles. Yeah, that's right, Ichisa. Many of their employees would work remote because for the sort of perspective that the company has, it doesn't really need people in the office. You don't really need that. Let me see. Mr. Napon says, what can you do when you get burned out from support roles, getting hand pain from so much typing over the years? You shouldn't be getting any hand pain anyways. You should be using an ergonomic keyboard. Um, yeah, you should be using an ergonomic keyboard if you're going to be typing more than an hour at a time in a day. It just makes more sense. Alvino Allen asks, where are the trainee roles? Um, the thing about trainees are usually interns. So they usually get interns from like major universities and major colleges. So they usually have those kind of partnerships. Those are the people that get advanced once their internship is over, whether they choose to stay or choose to move on. Yep, Cyber 7 has hit the nail right on the head. There's a very high level of accountability in these architect roles, senior sys roles, which are remote. You are not just chilling. Trust me, he's dead on it. Completely dead on it. Yep. Cyber 7 says you are always either in a meeting or you are working on project updates where progress and deliverables are being tracked. Yes, he's dead on it. Somebody's watching you. I know at JP Morgan, they require you to keep your webcam on all day while you're working remotely. Keep that in mind. You're not just sitting at home, watching YouTube, people getting dragged and whatnot. That's not the business. You got to have 100% focus. All right, Jeep and Java ask, do smaller companies offer better chance for growth? So here's the deal. That's a good question. Here's the deal. You do your internship or your entry level at bigger companies, so smaller fish in a bigger pond, and then you get out after about 18 months and you move on to a smaller company, which is a big fish in a small pond, because you become a bigger fish in it. Most IT roles for millennials are anywhere between 6 months and 18 months. That's the typical length of a IT role for a millennial. Millennials move around pretty quickly. Um, that's just their culture. Ijisa says, Austin Community College continuing education website states that the average starting hourly wage for AWS solution architect is $58.19. How accurate is this? Architects usually write their own meal tickets, so it's not uncommon that $58.19 would be the minimum that a architect would make, but they usually write their own meal tickets. That's just the nature of it. 130 grand is not uncommon. It's very region specific. In New York, an AWS architect is usually around 150 to 200K a year. That's not uncommon. You have to keep in mind when you talking about AWS architects, these are not people. The role is so heavily responsible for the focus and the trajectory on where the company is going to go. You're sitting in front of a bunch of people who are expecting answers, and they don't take no for an answer all the time. I've been on the whiteboard and had to do out modeling, and you better have had a sufficient answer for some of their questions. Let me see if anybody's trying to get in. Oh, I wanted to go to CompTIA's website. Yeah. Go there. Right. Yeah, I want to give acknowledgement to our all right. before we get out of here, let me give acknowledgement to Dewan Lightfoot, who's one of our moderators in the chat. He's also has his own YouTube channel, but he's also a moderator here as well. So shout out to Dewan Lightfoot for getting his Linux Plus. Dewan Lightfoot is an Air Force veteran and an IT professional with a strong thirst for knowledge and a love of helping people. He gives back the knowledge he has obtained through his YouTube channel and by working with local organizations to help those who often are left behind in tech. So give a shout out to him, man. I don't know if he's in the chat tonight, but he's been featured all over LinkedIn and many other places in social media for what his work is and how he has contributed, giving back. He does exactly what the Brain Trust is built for, has been built for. So yeah, I'll drop this in the chat. All right, let me read these last comments. Bloodsport 1 asks, Mike, how much AWS architects start out making with no experience, or is that possible? It's not possible. No way you can be an architect with no experience. Okay, Ijisa says, so with an 8-week course and after passing the certification exam, I could potentially be making that up. I don't know what you're referring to. Architects are not cert passers. There's a certification to verify your architectural skills, but there's no way you go from 0 to 60, right? So a person doesn't go from not knowing to being an architect in 8 weeks. That's not how it works. You can study the certification all you want to, right? But what happens when you have to demonstrate your architectural skills, and you don't really have an answer? That could be that will be a potential problem. Yeah. Alvino, you can actually get a Linux sysadmin role. If you looked on the website for Rackspace, there are actually sysadmin roles there. So sysadmin role wouldn't be hard to get for Linux. Yep. He says you're just trying to get your feet wet, man. You'd be better off sticking them things in a bucket of water if you're just trying to get your feet wet. Art Newstall, peace and strength to you. Bloodsport asks, Mike, what is the starting position in cloud computing and how much does it start with? Depends on the role. Most cloud computing roles are usually sysadmin roles, and then they go into like a sys engineer role. So sysadmins are usually doing a lot of the support for the sys engineers. Mhm. Yeah, cloud practitioner is not an actual role, though. It's what you do. It's not an actual role. And nobody walks around with a certification that says, "Well, I'm a cloud practitioner." You know, where's the jobs at? That's not the typical situation. A cloud practitioner certification is usually um, a gateway to other certification. So you don't stop at cloud practitioner. You usually use the cloud practitioner as a gateway to other certs that they have available, because you can't get to the other certs without going through cloud practitioner first. No, I wasn't saying that you should jump in. You better off jumping in a pool. I was just saying you should be dipping your feet in a bucket of water, because getting your feet wet is not as easy as it used to be. You got to really come with something else than just that. Oh yeah, okay. And Black Engineer says, "Yep, my struggle at my current company is finding relevant work to do. I plan starting the job search next year." Hmm. Yeah, when you have downtime like that, downtime is good for studying for certifications. I don't like to be slacking off and stuff like that. I should be studying certifications or reading major articles from like Dev 2. Jibba Jabba says, employment is web development and app development wide open and a good opportunity. You have to be pretty proficient at web development and app development. Those are two different things, but maybe 5 years from now, 10 years from now, they'll probably be just one whole thing, because a web is just nothing more than, I mean, an app on a phone is nothing more than just a website on a phone now, too. Progressive website. Dixie Normus asks, "What are your thoughts on the PMP?" I think everybody, should get PMP trained. I don't know if you can get PMP certified unless you have the accrued hours, right? I think the PMP requires something like 1,600 or 2,000 hours to be certified. Let me just pull that up so I can verify that. All right, let me just share my screen real quick. All right. All right, so it says, who should apply? An experienced project manager who meets the following requirements: perform their duties under general supervision and are responsible for all aspects of the project for the life of the project. Lead and direct cross-functional teams to deliver projects within the constraints of schedule, budget, and resources. Demonstrate sufficient knowledge and experience to appropriately apply a methodology to projects that have reasonably well-defined project requirements and deliverables. So the prerequisites, it says second degree, so some kind of high school diploma or associate's degree, 7,500 hours leading and directing projects. So I was wrong. I was saying 1,500 to 2,000 hours, but they're saying 7,500 hours. Or You could have a 4-year degree, a bachelor's degree, in 4,500 hours, or 35 hours of project management education, or a CAMP certification. So you wouldn't get PMP initially. What you would get is a CAMP certification. So let's go to CAMP. Let's go to that. Okay, this is a certified associate in project management, and the prerequisites are a high school diploma and or a associate's degree, and then 23 hours of project management education completed by the time you sit for the exam. Our project management basics online course fulfills the educational prerequisite. Interesting. Let me drop that in the chat for you all. So just being asked. No one really uses PMP that much. To my knowledge, no one really uses PMP that much in IT. Everybody uses some kind of Scrum or DevOps now.
Are we talking about protocols right now?
No, we're just talking about certifications. You know, they asked, yeah, the question was,
Okay.
should you get a PMP, right? You can't really just get a PMP like that. You need at least 7,500 hours clocked in,
right,
in order to get PMP, right, certified. But before you get to the PMP, you have to go through a ACMP, which is an associate project management, and then you can elevate from there.
That's right. That's exactly right.
I don't see many people in IT using PMP all that much. Everyone has moved away from that. It's too slow. The turnaround's too slow for the sort of today's environment in terms of cloud computing, because everything happens at lightning speed. What you can, I always tell people to look at Scrum. We use DevOps. We use a DevOps approach. So our turnaround time is almost by the end of the day. We don't really use anything else other than that. I mean, we do have project managers, but they're just project managers in name, but not in actual certification or practice.
Yeah, usually the project managers that I see tend to be people who were either former administrators or other people who've been in development and kind of moved around in some different areas. But I don't see a lot of certified PMPs walking around. In fact, I'm looking at any jobs. I don't even think I have any. I don't have any recs for like a PMP. I don't have any.
No, that stuff has gone away.
Yeah,
stuff has gone away big time. Let me see if I can pull it up. Scrum Master, yeah. So let me see. Let me share my screen real quick. Yeah, so this one is from scrum.org. Prove your Scrum knowledge and get certified. The Professional Scrum Master Level 1 assessment is available to anyone who wishes to validate his or her depth of knowledge of the Scrum framework and its application. Those who pass the assessment will receive the industry recognized PSM 1 certification to demonstrate their fundamental level of Scrum mastery. Taking a course is not required, and if you feel that you already possess a high level of Scrum knowledge, understanding the Scrum guide and how to apply Scrum within Scrum teams, you have the option to take the PSM1 assessment directly. However, there are courses available to help you prepare for the assessment and gain a strong understanding of Scrum. Depending on your role, either the 2-day Professional Scrum Foundations or Professional Scrum Master course is highly recommended. So let me go back, and I think there is a Scrum versus PMP. Yeah, here we go. Let me just read this caption real quick. Yeah, so Scrum Master versus Project Manager, how are they different? Often we come across the two words in industry, Scrum Master and Project Manager, though both of those roles contribute to the projects, but they add some confusion to the young professionals who have stepped into the project management world recently. It applies to freshers too, who are planning to build their career in project management. They remain concerned about which role should they choose to make the career. In fact, they struggle to understand whether there is any difference in the roles in these roles, or are they the same? And if they are the same, why are they named different? Who is a Scrum Master? The Scrum Master is a person who ensures that Scrum principles are being followed. She ensures the Scrum team's adherence to Scrum during Agile projects. Before understanding this further about Agile Scrum Master, let's know about Scrum. Scrum is not a tool or a technique used in Agile projects. Rather, it's a framework. Agile project management with Scrum. Scrum framework allows people to address complex problems with agility and deliver high-value products. Scrum Master roles and responsibilities, as I mentioned before, a Scrum Master is a servant leader. She extends her experience to the project manager and development team. Let's understand the Scrum Master's responsibilities under the following heads. Scrum Master responsibilities and services to product owner. Scrum Master responsibilities towards development team. What is the role of a project manager? Let's understand the role of a project manager now. By now, we are aware that a Scrum Master is more focused on her Scrum team to deliver maximum product value. On the contrary, a project manager has a large span of control. She manage various teams to deliver a complex project result. A project manager not only facilitates her project team to achieve optimum efficiency, but also gets involved in other several project activities. Having said that, I don't mean the job of a Scrum Master is quite simple in comparison to a project manager. A project manager works on the relatively less risk-oriented environment because she has the advantage of using traditional disciplined project management approaches where she can assess the risk to prepare themselves for upcoming challenges, understand the clear project scope before starting the project planning, and have comparatively better clarity on the final requirements. Roles and responsibilities of a project manager. Following are the typical roles and responsibilities of a project manager. So let me kind of summarize this. Project manager has to control the aspect of the project given itself. They kind of pick and choose which players are going to be on a part of the project and the team itself. Whereas in Scrum, you're kind of just managing the framework. So there's a framework, a waterfall or cascading framework that is involved in software development or security development, for that matter. DevSecOps is a agile framework. So because of that, they're not policing you, they're kind of policing the project itself. Whereas with PMPs, they're kind of policing the overarching project and the players within it, but not the framework itself. So they don't really provide a whole maximum value. They just kind of oversee the project from start to finish. Whereas in the Scrum world, we're kind of looking at the framework of development that's happening, right? So um, each and every step of the process, did anybody complete this process? And if they didn't, we have to go back to the beginning and retrace our steps. That's typically the differences. I'll stay in another 20 minutes before we get up off of here, man. I'm tired. Scrum is more for software, if anything. Scrum is more for software. The Agile framework can be integrated into the PMI, uh, itself, but it does not necessarily dependent upon the PMI. It can kind of operate on its own.
Yeah. Hey, Mike, you did mention waterfall as well. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, waterfall. Not to go to the shower like some people in the manosphere seem to live.
No. It's definitely not that. It's definitely not that. But you explained that waterfall kind of operates within that framework as well. I'm sorry, I'm just a little busy doing a few things here, so but you explained that as well. Is that correct, Mike?
Yeah.
Waterfall.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, so there's a zero wait time or a very low wait time from a agile perspective, and if we can push product within the next 5 minutes, then we can go from dev to prod in that time frame and have an update available before the hour's even up. That's the typical pace that agile works at, and the scrum master would actually oversee that perspective. But I think scrum masters are becoming less and less notable in these sorts of developments, because you have software that can actually do all of that for you with machine learning, artificial intelligence. So we got complex design on the panel.
Hey, what's going on, everyone?
Yo, what's up, man?
Complex, what's up, man?
Nothing much, man. I'm actually going to go pick up a SIM card for a little project.
I called you earlier, man. I hear back from you, dog. What am I hearing from you now? And I call you earlier. What's up with that?
I was at work.
Oh man, come on, man. You ghosting the brother. I mean, I'm playing with you, man.
You got a text with the goodies. You got a text with pictures of the goodies when you woke up this morning, fam.
Oh, I was on that. You sent it to me last night. I was busy.
Yeah.
But tonight I'm kind of hanging in here, and I'm taking a look at what you got, and I'm like, wow. If you want to break it down a little bit, that'd be kind of nice.
I think we're gonna do an unboxing, right?
Yeah, you have to pick a day, man.
Shoot, I don't know. What's up for tomorrow?
Mm-hmm. We can do it tomorrow night. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
New York.
We'll let everybody in on the scoop tomorrow.
Yeah.
Highly butterlaid.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it'd be interesting to see if the manosphere was run from a PMP perspective, man, you probably see a lot more return on investment.
Well, it would all depend on the project managers.
Oh, yeah.
You know what? I was gonna say something. But I'm gonna keep my mouth shut.
Yeah, the gynocracy of the project managers.
Yeah, I don't think you could have it. I don't think you could have that involved in our SDLC. Sorry, I didn't mean that, but
yeah, it's interesting that people would even engage in PMP and not really look at the amount of clock hours required to get into this. 7,500 hours is a lot of time, man. I mean, you only work 40 hours a week, so
That's a lot.
you'll be there for a long time, buddy. I always tell people, man, to focus on DevOps or the methodology or Scrum or Agile. See if there's an Agile certification. Yeah, Scrum Alliance has an Agile certification. Oh no. Um, 8 Agile certifications. You know, if you can't get to the PMP, then CompTIA does have the Project Plus. I would probably look at taking that before anything else. You know, let me share my screen real quick and drop that in the chat, and then we'll close out. I'm not seeing any more questions in the chat. This is CompTIA's Project Plus. An overview is basically why is it different. CompTIA Project Plus is ideal for professionals who need to manage smaller, less complex projects as part of their other job duties, but still have foundational project management skills. Project Plus is more versatile than other certifications because it covers essential project management concepts beyond the scope of just one methodology or framework. The Project Management Plus System examination is designed for business professionals who coordinate or manage small to medium-sized projects. A successful candidate will have the knowledge and skills required to manage the project lifecycle, ensure the appropriate communication, manage resources and stakeholders, maintain project documentation. I'll drop that in the chat.
Hey, Mike, real quick, dude. Like, so when you were doing the Black Friday hangout, again, man, I got off late, so I didn't get a chance to chime in on that. But I saw that you were showing there were like certifications, like IT certifications, and they were running like specials, right?
Yeah.
Dude, I saw like this was like I saw it in my junk folder in my email, but on Groupon they were doing CompTIA certifications. Man, and I'm trying to remember, like it was something ridiculous, dude, like $100 or something.
Yeah, I think we covered IT exam vouchers for cheap yesterday.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
I heard a commercial. I was in my car. I heard a commercial that was on the radio for IT certifications with mycomputing.com, or I think it was, or
yeah, I'm not really
and they was about, yeah, you can take these courses, you can get certified in these different programming languages in as little as 6 weeks, and they've got these programs now where they're pushing people in to really get programming skills to really rock and roll. I know, here on this hangout, it's about what IT jobs you can get without a degree. You can work for Microsoft without a degree. I mean, the owner, the founder, didn't have a degree, so he didn't care about whether you have a degree or not.
Yeah, but he hired himself though. It's a little bit different.
Yeah. But you can get a job, and you can be hired in any one of those positions where it says college degree or experience required. You're not required to have a degree to work for Microsoft.
Mm-hmm.
You're not required to have a degree to work for them.
Mm-hmm.
In any one of their positions, upper level positions. It's experience, unless you're an accountant or something else like that. If it's a specific type of position that needs a certain level of certification, But if you're a software developer,
Mhm.
the data architect,
Mhm.
something else like that, if you gotten in there and you got the skill sets without a degree, man, you're good.
Yeah. Yeah. This one is from Exilios. They are the European-based certification agency. So this would be like top tier of Europe. Um, they have the Prince 2 Agile Project Management certification. So uh, this is actually starting to gain a lot of popularity in the United States because a lot of European companies do business here, but they still follow the practices of like these certifications and frameworks. So this would be similar to PMP, but in a more in a more different linguistic, basically. That's the only difference. Let me go here to Agile Foundation. There's actually a practitioner exam as well. I have the book. I just have not actually sat down and looked at it because I don't have a real need for it. Although I need to update my certifications by February, and this may come in handy. So there are no prerequisites for taking the Prince 2 Agile Foundational Certification. You really can't beat this. 50 questions with a pass mark of 55%, closed book exam, 1 hour multiple choice paper, objective testing. We drop that in the chat. Mike, would you start with Linux basics or a basic CS 101 with Python course to get started to get a start in foundation? You want to go with basics of CS 101 and then go into intro to Linux. Intro to Linux is usually after CS 101. Anyway, I think that's like CS 103 or something like that. Ejisa says, Mike V, are you a fan of Udemy courses? I am a fan of Udemy courses. I have the app on my phone, and I've had probably about a dozen of their courses on there. Although um, some of the courses have disappeared on me for whatever reason. I think there might have been some. I think some of the courses have disappeared on me because there might have been some plagiarism going on in there. So yeah, Maddox is right. Go to Boson. Boson is really good for Cisco networking. So but yeah, we had a good turnout despite the thumbs downs. I know who's giving those thumbs downs, suckalades. But if you all are trying to get into IT for the first time and you want some IT mentorship, make sure you leave your comments at the end of the video in the comment section, requesting one of us to get back to you. We can actually help you out with some IT mentorship. If you're trying to go from one IT role to another, we do offer IT coaching. If you have a resume that has not been updated, we can look at resumes and give you advice on how to update your resume best suitable for recruiters to find you. Salary negotiations as well, what you should be making and that you're not getting played. If you're in the tri-state area and you're looking for IT contracts, Nagona 11 does have recs on the table. We'll probably have a lot more recs in 2020 as more jobs start to come out. Yeah, make sure you hit the like button as well. Shalom to everyone.